Hey, this is Corey Barnes.
And this is Lisa Caperton, and you're listening to Her Turn to Talk.
Hey, Lisa, so I want to tell you what I did last night.
What did you do?
So last night, well, actually, I should start from the beginning. So on Friday night, I met this girl, and her and I hit it off. Nothing like spectacular, though. We just kind of like got some pizza, and
Wait a
there was
minute.
a bunch of other people.
A girl you didn't know? Like you just met her like at a pizza parlor? You're like, hey, what's up?
No, I was just out.
Okay.
Just out and about. And I met her, one of my like little meetups things that I go to. And so I met her, and a bunch after the meetup, like the meetup continued on, and we got some pizza. And I just figured I had nothing else better to do. Why don't I just hang out with these people? They seemed cool, and they spoke my language, and I just liked them. So this one woman, she was like, "Oh, I'm glad that you're here," and she's like, "We do this every Friday night," and she's like, "We always read our horoscopes whenever we come, and we eat pizza." And she's like, "What's your horoscope?" And I was like, "Aries." And she's like, "Oh, you're the only Aries here." And I was like, whatever. This is cool. Cool people. I like this woman. So as the conversation went on, and I just sat there quietly, really. I wasn't engaging. I wasn't center of attention or anything like that. I just had nowhere else to be, and I was comfortable with these folks. So, which is really cool. And she looked at me and she said, Do you like to play games? I said, I love to play games. And she says, well, every once in a while we have a game night. We haven't done it in a long time. So I'm going to try to put something together. And I'm thinking to myself, I hear this all the time.
Right.
Like, it's not going to happen.
How many times have we said that?
People aren't going to come together. And I was like, okay, yeah, sounds good. And so I left with I went to this pizza place, and they had cannolis, fresh cannolis. So I left on Pearl Street with my cannoli in my left hand, and the wind was like whipping around my hair. So there was like cannoli and all this stuff, and I'm chomping along. And I get into my car. That was like, the cannoli was so good. And
couldn't even wait to get, I know that feeling.
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
I'm eating this shit right now.
It was crazy windy. I'm like, I don't care. And it was probably like 10:30 or something, and I'm like, there's just drunk people. Like, I don't care. It's pitch dark. I'm gonna eat my cannoli, and I'm like licking the paper. Even that's my life now. And I got in the car, and I'm on my way home, and I get a text from this woman, and her name is Annie, and she says, "Game night tomorrow night. You in?" I'm like, what? And I was thinking, I just wrote, yeah, I'm in. So all day yesterday, I was trying to come up with excuses not to go, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
All day
what
long.
we do, right?
Yep. And that she had also invited another friend of mine, and the friend of mine was in the group text, and she was like making up excuses. She was like, I really shouldn't go, but maybe I should go. And I was like, that's all confusing. And I was like, I have to show up. I can't be that person saying that now, too. There's already one person doing that.
They actually followed through.
Yeah. So Annie texted me as time gets closer. You still in? I was like, I'm in. So Travis was going out to downtown Denver, so I knew I wasn't missing out on anything here at home if I was just going to be sitting on the couch. So they gave me an address. I showed up at the house, at Bob's house, and it was there in North Boulder, and it was a very lovely neighborhood. A friend of ours lives in the neighborhood, Katie, and I walked in, and Annie greeted me at the door and said, welcome. She said, I'm so glad you're here. You're the only girl besides myself. And I was like, oh no, what am I walking into? But I walked in, and there was 4 other gentlemen there at the table, and we sat down right away. They had fantastic snacks. Thank you, Annie and Bob, and really good brie. And so we just started playing games, and within the first 20 minutes of us all sitting down, and they probably all knew each other, but I didn't know anybody. We were in absolute hysterics. We were playing this game called Telestrations. I need to buy it.
Is it like Pictionary?
Similar. Very similar, but it's kind of like a telephone game of Pictionary.
Ooh, I want to play
Oh
it.
my God. We were crying. Like, I was crying, laughing, and I kept thinking, like, this is the best thing ever. I don't even know these people, and we are crying, laughing together.
We need like a meetup game night for Her Turn to Talkers.
Yep.
HT3ers.
Yeah. Oh, and it was just so much fun. And you know what? I was there from 7 to 11 p.m. Like, that's how much fun we had. And we played other games, and it was just so good. And like, just to be a people among people, a person among people, and to like be able to hang out with other guys and like not worry that my man's like worried that I'm hanging out with these guys. They're just genuine, nice people. And Annie and I were like hitting it off. And so it was just a beautiful example of how like, games bring people to music brings people together, dance brings people together. Like,
and
it
what
was
the
so
hell, like,
much
look
fun.
what can happen if you put yourself out there and
Exactly.
say yes.
So they were strangers, and by the end of the night, we're friends. They've invited me back over. They say every Friday night they get that pizza and they read the horoscopes there at the pizza place, and then they go back to Bob's house and have a jam session. And they asked me, Corey, do you play any instruments? And I sat there, I said, don't say anything, don't say anything. And all of a sudden I blurted out, I sing. And I was like, oh no, how did that just come out? And they said, you sing, we need a singer. And I was like, oh my gosh, here we go. And so I'm going to start hanging out with them on Friday nights.
And you're going to sing. Maybe you're going to be maybe you guys will like be awesome. And then you'll be rock stars and we'll all come see you and be like, Corey.
I'm just excited to have new friends and to laugh. I hadn't laughed that hard in so long.
Isn't that so great when you cry laugh?
Yes.
Isn't that the best feeling?
It was hilarious. And we were,
I don't remember the last time that I've had that happen with other people. I do it to myself all the time. Like I make myself laugh, cry, and then my family just looks at me like I'm a weirdo, but it would be so much better if somebody else could make me do that.
My gosh, it was so great. It was so great.
I'm glad you had a good time.
So I just wanted to tell the world out there. Don't be afraid to just show up even when you're
what? I need to
uncomfortable
hear
and
that
you don't know the
message.
peoples. Yeah.
That's, like
I don't know, something carried me, like for real. Like,
I don't do that shit. You know me, I'm like, no.
Oh yeah.
I'm not out. I'm in my softy pants. I'm in my house. I'm not going out. It's dark. It's 5:00. I don't care. It's dark. I'm in.
There's so much to explore. And now I'm like really excited. I'm like, I need to show up for these, like meetups more often. I need to go to more like fellowship with people and hang out, and like just do it because it's so empowering and so great, and you never know who you're going to meet. And like, it was so fun.
I'm glad you had a good time.
So I have a badass woman today. Her name is Heidi Ganal, and she's one of Colorado's most known entrepreneurs and community leaders. Heidi's story is outlined by an extraordinary adversity in her life, beginning with the loss of her husband at the age of 27 and then losing $1 million insurance settlement.
Wow.
She picked up her entrepreneurial spirit and channeled her leadership skills to help her get back up and ultimately become the top dog and founder of Camp Bow Wow, Fight Back Foundation, and her latest project, She Factor. Heidi's been named one of Fortune magazine's 10 most promising entrepreneurs, and Parade magazine included her in their list of top women entrepreneurs in the country. Her love for dogs led her to Camp Bow Wow. She was the founder of Camp Bow Wow.
I see that place all the time.
And Camp Bow Wow was named to the Inc. 500 out of 5,000 fastest growing company list 5 years in a row. Unbelievable.
That's awesome.
As a result of Camp Bow Wow's success, Heidi was named one of Fortune magazine's 10 most promising entrepreneurs and among the top women entrepreneurs in the country. That's amazing. There's not very many.
Yeah.
By Parade magazine. In 2014, she sold Camp Bow Wow, the brand, for $100 million.
What?
And turned her attention to philanthropy, politics, and other endeavors.
That's amazing. That's badass.
Like owning a pet sitting business.
Yeah.
And I've known about Heidi
ever
since I moved here. She's here in Colorado. I think she's Boulder or Golden. And like knowing that was only in 2014. Like I was here. I remember that.
Yeah.
My business was just 1 year old.
That's
Imagine
amazing.
that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So,
before I just need to say that you're badass for reading that. Where did you find that?
Heidi Ganal. I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay. Well, I just want to say that you're doing a great job and you're so badass because I know how much that you don't like to say the word entrepreneur, and you've said it like so many times, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Travis and I practice on our spare time.
I love it.
One of Heidi's passions is to find ways to give back. Truly, this woman is something else. In 2016, Heidi was elected as a University of Colorado as a University of Colorado regent, where she continues to serve, and on various other boards focused on entrepreneurship and education. Heidi founded the Fight Back Foundation to positively tackle the most pressing issues facing our kids today. And in 2019, just last year, she launched She Factor, Present Power, Future Fierce, a book, app, and a national brand that will impact millions of women across the United States. It says online Union States. Spelling error. Heidi is sought after public speaker and often speaks about her journey and her commitment to keeping the American dream alive and well for future generations. She's talked at TED at Mile High, the TEDx at Mile High. She's a proud wife of Jason Ganal, one of the top barbecue cooks in the country, and owner of GQ Barbecue Restaurant near Boulder, Colorado. We'll have to find that.
Yeah, because I need to find good barbecue here.
Together, have you been to Lulu's yet?
I still haven't.
It's good.
Danny's at home barbecuing today.
Oh, that's way better than that. Together, Heidi and her husband have 4 children, and you for women out there, the She Factor, that needs to be on your radar. She's picking up people all over the place. It's a network. It's a digital and live platform created to help you launch a life you love. So if you're a woman out there who wants to write a book, who has a story to talk about, She Factor is going to help women build empowered and fulfilled lives through the app-based curriculum, live events, books, and so much more. Her and her team are ready to build the future of fierce women starting today. So if you have an idea, you want to build an app, I know my girl Tony is out there. Tony, if you're listening, check out She Factor. If you have ideas and if you are a woman, reach out to She Factor. She's taking phone calls. Heidi is picking up the phone. This isn't just like people, it's not just a brand. Like Heidi is amazing and she shares this passion. So that's my baddest woman of the week.
That's awesome. I want to give a shout out to a previous woman we've had on here whose online course that I'm working on taking. It just started. And that is Jackie Stone. And I'm taking her digital marketing class online. So far, it's awesome. So I'll keep people updated on how that goes. But I mean, I just want to do another shout out to her and what she's doing for people out there in the digital marketing world. And
Are you in the mastermind group?
She sent me an email saying that I could join, and I haven't joined yet.
Oh, we already had our first phone call.
I know. And so
jump in.
I need to jump in. Yeah. And so, so you're doing it too.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was on the phone call last Wednesday.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get out. I need to get my shit together then.
Yeah.
All right.
Really cool stuff.
We'll keep people posted on our progress with doing that with Jackie Stone. Yeah.
So today on the show, we will be interviewing Cayla Kimble. Cayla is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of KMGLife, Keep Music Going, KMG, here in Boulder, Colorado. She's also a founding member of the Final Percent, another really awesome group to check out. She's a wife, a friend, and such a girl boss. I cannot wait to interview her and continue talking to Cayla. She's amazing. I'll let you guys listen in and enjoy the show. Hi, Cayla.
Hi.
Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
We're so glad to have you here.
Very happy to be here.
And I know you because you were my soon-to-be husband's boss. And
Yes.
while my husband, I'm just calling you my husband. While
that's
my
fine.
fiance,
You might as well get used to it.
while my fiance was working
Husband
for
Travis.
you, it was so inspiring to watch you move up into the role of CEO.
Thank you.
I had been to your husband's, I think it was his birthday, and I met you for the first time.
Yes.
And there's just something about you. I was drawn to you immediately. And it was
Thank
announced at that party that you'd be taking taking over that position.
Right.
And I thought to myself, wow, this is amazing. And I was so impressed with everything that your company has been doing.
Thank
So
you.
for our listeners that are tuned in right now, could you tell us a little about yourself, your name, your company, what you do?
Yeah, I feel like I could talk forever about that, but I'll try to keep it as succinct and short and sweet as possible.
No, please.
My name's Cayla Kimble. I am the CEO of KMGLife Inc, as well as a founder of The Final Percent. So we have two main companies that we're working on right now. KMG stands for Keep Music Going, and that is a college that specializes in the recording arts and creative production. So everything from media to audio recording, music recording, producing instrumentation in various digital audio workstations. We are more on the technical side of things, so we basically equipped creators to create. And it's such a fun company to be a part of. We started out as a recording studio, transitioned into a school. Being a musician myself, it was something that my husband and I were really passionate about. And now being in the education industry, I never thought that I would be there. To be honest, I'd always like, oh, I'm going to be a singer, and this is the direction I'm gonna take my life. But honestly, it is one of the most rewarding things that we've ever done together is seeing the eyes light up of our students when they come in for class and igniting the passion inside of them just is a feeling that's pretty undescribable for me. We're very blessed to get to do what we do every single day. Yeah. And The Final Percent is a newer company that we recently started that is more along the lines of life and business coaching, helping people reach their exponential part of life. So it's very all-encompassing, and I'm sure we'll dive more into that as we talk. But those are our big projects we're working on right now, and it's kind of difficult running multiple businesses at the same time, but I get to do it with my husband and my best friends, and we absolutely love what we do. So we're very blessed.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. And like you said, it might be difficult to run them, but you have these people supporting you, and
right.
They're like your babies.
Yes.
You're nurturing them. You're taking care of these companies. Like you're putting your all into them.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's really amazing to watch. How did you, so wait, actually, I should first start with the question of, who are your prospective candidates to go to KMG? Is it like a singer, a musician that plays a guitar? Like who would want to go and create and study at KMG?
Really, it's anyone who has a passion for making music or wanting to get in the field of audio or visual things as well. We've had artists come through, whether they want to just work in the software and create digital electronic music and make beats that way. Musicians, where they play instruments or they sing. It's really all walks of life if they're just creative in that way, and all ages, 18 and up, I should say. I mean, our oldest student that we've had is 72 years old. This awesome lady. She was a jazz singer her whole life, and she just wanted to learn how to record her own music and her friends in her house and enrolled in our school. And now she's building an actual studio. She's wanting to build a business out of it, which is incredible because it started out with her just wanting to be an artist and record herself. And now she's building a full business around it where she can help. She's a little bit more north of us, I think, north of Fort Collins, but help the creative community up there too. So that's really awesome. It's really inspiring.
So they get to learn, you teach people how to record, like how to use the equipment to be able to record their music that they already know how to do. Not you're teaching them how to play an instrument.
Right,
or do
yeah. And that's
like
a big distinction we need to make because a lot of times people not really understanding the industry, they just lump us into, oh, they're a music school. You teach like voice lessons and guitar, right? And we're like, actually the complete opposite. Like we don't teach any of that at our school. And obviously us all having that background, but Greg went to the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences, so he's also an audio engineer. That technical base is what we founded our school on. So yes, we teach them how to record music, how to create beats, how to shoot film and do podcasting, audiobooks, really anything in the audio-visual space, we can teach people how to do it.
And is it like an enrollment, like a regular school where there's semesters, or is it like an individual-based thing?
There's some parallels with the traditional education institutions, but we're definitely very unique. And sense, we're very untraditional. So we do have enrollments, but it's kind of within our own system. So we enroll bi-monthly. Class sizes, depending on the program, ranges anywhere from 3 to 10. So they're still relatively small classes, but we don't have semesters. It's just they go through what we call phases. So it's each month is a phase. And the programs range from 2 months to, if you do the full thing, almost 2 years.
Awesome.
So
will you tell us how KMG first started?
Oh my goodness. I'm like, how do I feel like I should start with how Greg and I met, because that's kind of the foundation of how all of this came to be. He went to like I said, he went to the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences in Tempe, Arizona, and went through kind of a horrible divorce, decided to just uproot his life and move somewhere where he could see his favorite team, not the Patriots. I'm sorry. I did hear that. That is a point of contention we now have, sister, but I still love you.
I don't want to talk about it now anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, Broncos did way worse, so whatever. But he's a massive Broncos fan, just kind of through... his mother is also an insane Broncos fan. She has a cardboard life-size cutout of John Elway in her house. Anyway, that's a whole nother story for another time maybe. But he just wanted to be able to go into a bar and watch the local sports team. And that's why it's funny that that's the reason why he moved to Colorado. He didn't really have any connections here. Didn't have any friends. Didn't have a solid business or anything established yet. He moved up to Colorado and initially started the recording studio with 500 square feet. Was living in his car, so he was homeless. He didn't have really, like I said, any of those resources that you should have when you're trying to start a company, right? So he just kind of started up doing that. And then while that was happening, I was working at Wells Fargo, so in the banking industry, not the most exciting, but, it paid the bills, and it was kind of just what I was doing after college in the meantime until I could really lock down a career path that I wanted to get into. And I was actually thinking about this earlier. It's funny how I mean, maybe this is just something I do, but I look at how I met Greg and then I kind of backtrack. Okay, like, who did I meet that introduced me to this person? Like, I want to find the source. Right. Like, who do I thank for my life right now? Sure. And it actually trickles all the way back to one of my best friends, Chanel, because she was the one who introduced me to Wells Fargo and got me a job there and all of that. And then I met people, and then met some other people. I got back into the music scene since I've always wanted to be a singer, and I've been singing my entire life. Never really had I would never really consider it a full-time thing that I did. It was more of just like, I love to sing, and I was in choir and did musicals and things like that when I was younger. Then I finally met a producer who wanted to work with me, and I was just trying to get my feet wet in the industry and started writing music and started going into sessions and creating who I was as an artist at that point. And then I met our mutual friend, my husband Greg and I, Austin. And I showed him my song, and I'm like, I really need some help. Like, show me give me some advice on this song. I'm still new. I don't really know what I'm doing. And ultimately he gave me some tips. And then he said, you know what, you need to meet my producer, Greg, because he grew up in Arizona, but was going to DU. So he was currently working at a recording studio up in Colorado. Very, very small studio. And I'm like, sure, yeah, I want to meet anyone in the industry. That's fantastic. And he messaged me on Facebook and was like, I heard your song. I love your voice. I'd love to work with you in person at some point. I'm actually going to be in Arizona for a business trip, so let's link up. And I, of course, jumped at the opportunity. And we met up at Austin's parents' house, and we kind of hit it off. We just became immediate best friends. And then we went out karaokeing with Austin and his mom and all her very drunk friends. It was an amazing experience just from that perspective. But Greg told me he sang, but he never told me he sang like that. I'm sure you all have heard Greg sing before, but he's a phenomenal vocalist. Like, he can sing whistle notes, and he can sing higher than me. It's unreal. So I just was floored by his talent, and immediately was like, I have to work with this guy. And so we just kept talking, kept the connection there. And strictly at that point, we were just friends. He said he fell in love with me. It was like love at first sight, but I had my blinders on. I was like, not having it. I'm like, no, I'm focused on my career. Like, I don't want to, I've had plenty of relationships that did not go as planned and kind of derailed me. So I'm like, I'm focusing on me now. It's my time. So we did that. And then he's like, how about you fly up to Colorado and see the studio that I just started and just see if we can make some music together and see what happens. And I was like, sure, I'll jump on that opportunity. And so I flew up to Colorado. It was my first time here. I fell in love with the state, the people, and his studio and his vision and his team and everything. And like we had a lot of long conversations. And I realized I'm like, I have to do this. Like I just knew. Like I was meant to be here. I didn't really understand fully in what capacity or how things were going to unfold. But then I made the decision, the very hard decision, because I was at that time very ingrained in my life in Arizona. I had a lot of friends and family there. I didn't have like a super solid career that I was sold on being my end game. So I was like, realistically, there's nothing holding me here. I can just leave. So I did. I took a chance on myself, which that was completely against my personality at the time. I never was like a risk taker or anything like that, and moved up to Colorado, and we just started building KMG from the ground up. It started out as a recording studio. We started offering more multimedia services. We had a rehearsal space, and we started taking on apprentices who wanted to learn audio, and then everything kind of just transitioned from there. Wow. So that was a long spiel.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
So you guys went from a 500 square foot studio to a 7,000 square foot studio
in Denver, yeah,
to now
right
30,000 square feet.
It's pretty.
That's pretty crazy.
Well
incredible.
Done.
I can't even imagine what that looks like in my head. It sounds so big.
It's something.
It is a lot of space. It is a lot of space, but honestly, we use all square feet of it. We use all of it.
And talk about like dreams coming true and just working, perseverance. Excuse me.
Right.
And just persistence and following your dream, and like something told you keep going.
Yep.
Like, and what an amazing. So how long ago was that?
So I moved to Colorado in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that?
Almost 7 years? 8 years?
9 years? Math.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. 9 years. So it's been in the making for 9 years.
Right.
And you guys right off the bat, you just started, you guys were a team from the beginning.
Immediately. And I think that's
cool.
How we established such a strong romantic relationship is because we had such a strong foundation first. We were friends. We had a similar vision. We were both business driven. We had there were a lot of things that aligned that just made sense, to where then for me, the romantic relationship was just the cherry on top.
Yeah.
Right? So what's it like to be a CEO?
Honestly, looking back at my life, I never thought I would be the CEO of anything, to be honest. And I was okay with that. I was never the risk taker. Like I said, I was always like, oh, I'm an employee. This is how, this is how you're supposed to live your life. You work and then you retire and then you die, kind of thing, right? Moving out of state, starting a business, building something from the ground up was just never in my wheelhouse, never in my foresight ever. And just working side by side with my husband, he's always like the spearhead. He's the one who's the trailblazer. He's the one pushing forward. He's the full-blooded entrepreneur and leader to his core. He was just born that way. I just wasn't always that person. And over the years, all of my experiences, I've developed into that person now, which I'm very proud of and very excited to talk about and say. But when he announced, it's funny because we briefly had talked about it right before we made that announcement. And then it was like we were in a meeting with someone and he just told them that was going to happen without like us fully 100% deciding. And it was more of like a surprise to me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, to the guy in the meeting, this is totally what we've been talking about and this is what we're doing. And I was kind of like crapping myself a little bit because I have always been second in command, never been the one leading the charge. And so it was scary. It was exciting. I was thrilled. I was honored that he trusted me that much. Because if you know my husband, Greg, he doesn't just give someone something who hasn't earned it or that he doesn't believe in. He doesn't have a filter. He'll just tell it like it is. And if he doesn't trust and believe in that you can do something, he'll tell you. So I knew that was a testament to his belief in me. And then in turn, I started believing in me, that I was capable of doing that. And stepping up into that role has been so much fun. I have an incredible team at KMG and everyone is creative. They're incredibly talented musicians, artists. Some of them travel the world DJing and they have their own albums that they're releasing. And it's just such a great community to be a part of that it's honestly just been so much fun being able to build it.
Do you still get to do music for yourself? Like, is that still something that you crave to have your own artistic release of being able to sing and create music that way?
Very much so. We actually started a band together in 2014. Oddly enough, right after our wedding, because we actually were the entertainment at our wedding. We brought a bunch of our singer friends down to Phoenix, and we just brought our Bose system and we kind of did like karaoke all night, and we just sang and we had a blast. It was so much fun. My family was like, "Oh, these musician people are crazy," but we had a great time. But yeah, we started. The band name was not our best moment. I'm going to be honest. We called ourselves the KMG Players. We were trying to kind of mimic, like if you think about like the musicians of Motown, just like that, the session players basically.
Yeah.
And so we started just kind of doing covers, started messing around with some originals, and then we transitioned eventually into changing our name to Last Minute. And we just kind of is all of our best friends. We have my husband and I, Greg, who sing. Another one of our rock star team members, Ashley Kisner, who's an incredible vocalist. And then we have our head of production, also one of our main instructors and EVPs, Zach Markle, who looks like Thor. He is our keyboard player. Mitch is just our dot connector. Like he's the guy who knows everyone. He is our bass player. They all also work at KMG. I don't know if I made that clear. And then Drew now has transitioned into, he was one of our students, now one of our team members. He's our drummer. So it's just all a group of us who love music and have a passion for it and just come together and create. But I will admit that the business has kind of taken over our lives a little bit more than I think any of us anticipated. So we have not had time to make as much music as we want to as of late. However, just because this happened last night and I'm still so excited about it, my husband and I finally started a new tradition of music date night. So we try to do a date night once a week together. And it's always like we go out to a restaurant, we go to a movie, or we'll stay at home and kind of snug, which is our, phrase for just, snuggling. And we had the idea recently, like, why don't we just go to our own studio at KMG where we have all this equipment and make music? We don't have to pay for studio time. Like Greg knows how to engineer. He's a producer. Like he can produce me. We're both great singers. Like what are we doing with our lives? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we started doing that and it's been so much fun. Yeah. So now we're finally working on our own album. We're very excited about it. We did a session last night and we finished a song that's called Without You. Cool. And it's basically just about life, how life was before we met the other person. And we had one of our old guitar players, who's a guitar player in his uncle's band, come down and lay some guitar on it for us because he's Grammy nominated. He's an insanely talented guitarist named Cayla Ortiz. And yeah, so we're doing that now. So that's finally we're getting back into that creative sphere that is so important to us. It's just, as I'm sure you both understand, business and life can take over a lot of times the other things in your life that you're passionate about.
Yeah. Right. How exciting. And it sounds like you've almost have a little family there, that you guys are all doing this
KMG
different
fam.
stuff.
Yeah, right.
I know, it sounds amazing.
Oh my gosh. If you look up these hashtags, hashtag KMG fam is one of the popular ones. But we've always kind of preached that we're just a big family and we love each other so much. And we're just super blessed to have the people that we do on our team.
Are you working just nonstop every week? Do you ever have, do you ever have breaks or time? I mean, yes, you talked about your date night, but what does your weekly work schedule look like?
It's pretty crazy. Honestly, I don't know how many hours I put in. I don't really keep track. It's more of the mindset that I've adopted is I'm an entrepreneur, so the clock never stops. If I need to take a phone call at 11 o'clock at night, I will do that. And even in the beginning when we were just a studio and I was answering phones, and we were open from like 4 or 5 p.m. until like 10 a.m. And then people would start calling at 10 a.m. because that's business hours, right? So I was literally up taking calls around the clock 24/7. So that's always kind of been how we've done things. Now, thankfully, we have boundaries because we're a school and we have,
boundaries,
office hours and we have, things like that, which is wonderful. Yep. But I kind of just do whatever it takes to succeed. And we had, even recently for the final percent, we had a big series that we were, a training series we were trying to launch on New Year's Day. And Ashley and I were kind of going hard on getting, the last minute things all put into our platform that we were using. And so her and I were even sitting on our computers on New Year's Eve, just like hustling through, trying to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And ultimately, some people may be frustrated by having to do stuff like that. But her and I, it was like, it's our pleasure. Like, this is what we do. Like, we're here to just crush it and get stuff done. And there's just no question.
And I know it's very important to you to have a morning routine.
Yes.
Could you tell us more about what your morning routine looks like in your time, your kind of like morning meditation, or any time throughout the day your time looks like?
Right. I firmly believe my morning routine is the reason I stay sane. And it's just because there's so much going on, and it can get really overwhelming sometimes and difficult to manage everything since there's so many moving parts. I finally learned that putting myself first, making myself a priority, and beyond self-care, but more of like daily maintenance, was not just nice, it was crucial for my success, and then in turn our company's success. Because if I'm not okay, I can't lead my team properly. I can't push our company forward in a good direction. There's so many people who depend on me and my decisions, the whole team, all of the students, the trajectory of our future. Like, that's very important. So I started establishing a morning routine probably regularly about a year ago after doing a bunch of research, because it seems like everyone has their own morning routine, and you have your journal and your planner and what have you, and it's great. And what I did was I kind of just listened to a bunch of different people's routines and kind of picked elements of each and kind of made my own that I personally love. And some people love to like actually handwrite something in a journal or a planner. I personally, because I'm so on the go, I used to be that person, but I transitioned to more of a digital format. So now I use this application called Trello, which is just like a task manager, project manager software, if you haven't heard of it before. But I have my whole board like built out where I have reminders for myself. I have like inspirational quotes. I have notes of like different training series that I've done that I like to kind of look over and recap. But more specifically in my morning routine, I really start out with prayer, gratitude, kind of just like relaxing and resting my mind and just starting to get centered and focusing on what's really important. And that's my mental health. And that's things that are important to me. I also incorporate affirmations, visualization exercises, planning out my day. I'll sit down and I'll write down all my action items for the day. And just, even though maybe for some people that will stress them out, for me, it's therapeutic, because I know once I walk out the front door, I can just hit the ground running because my day is planned and I'm ready to rock and roll. There's no like scrambling and trying to figure out things on the go. Working out is a huge thing for me. Just getting, that release going in the morning and get your juices flowing, I think is really important. And ultimately, once I started doing that, I became so much more focused and so much more productive throughout the day. Learning is another big aspect of that. I'll do some training in the mornings. Right now, I am actually doing the first percent series that Greg released recently. Cool. And then one of my favorites is Mel Robbins. Have you ladies heard of Mel Robbins?
I haven't.
Please, that's okay. If I'm going to give you homework, please write that down. That is your homework.
She's going to put it down. We'll put a link on our website for our listeners.
You want to talk about like inspirational girl crush? It is Mel Robbins.
Okay.
She just has transformed my life in so many ways. Read the 5-Second Rule. That's one of the best books that you can ever read. She talks a lot about visualization, limiting beliefs, how to overcome self-doubt, like resetting your mindset. There's just so many positive things that she dives into that really help me get myself in a good headspace to go tackle my day.
I love that what you just said in the beginning there about beyond self-care, the daily maintenance.
Right.
Because how many times do we forget about that? And we think, oh, I got to practice self-care. And it's like this once a week or once a month of this big thing of like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and I don't know.
Or getting your nails done or
yeah,
massage.
this and that. But it's like,
but
what about the daily day
that's
today?
what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm sorry to mention it.
No, I love that. Yeah, I just really, that caught my attention of like, oh yeah, there's that day to day that maybe we're not reaching that point where we're pulling our hair out that we need self-care so badly if we're keeping up on that day-to-day maintenance stuff. And especially as women and business owners and moms and all of the many different hats that we wear.
Right. And it's like recalibrating every morning. Right. We start again. We wake up. I love that you mentioned prayer. That's such a powerful tool, whether you're religious or not.
Right.
You could be agnostic. I mean, I have found myself, there's something about positive affirmations, prayer. We're moving our body, whether it be dancing in front of the mirror, working out, going for a walk, walking the dog, there's something about that too. And like you said, getting the juices flowing, not only in our physical body, but like kind of the metaphysical and in this brain,
It's all connected. It's all important. And you have to focus on all of it each and every day. Because I've noticed when I kind of get too busy or I don't make it a priority, or if like the holidays happen or we're traveling or I veer off path, I start to notice a big difference in my energy levels throughout the day, my focus throughout the day, how I'm just feeling overall in general. And the more consistent I am with it, even if I'm like, well, I just did this yesterday, I don't really need to give myself all these, fluffy positive affirmations. No, like it is part of my morning routine. I stick to it because consistency yields results every time.
Did it take you to get that practice where it wasn't like it was an automatic thing instead of a thought of, oh my gosh, I have to make sure I do that?
Right. Probably a few months, honestly. They say it takes about 30 days to make a habit, but just still, like I said, with traveling and having to rush out the door for when you're owning a business, there's so many things that just pop up at the last second that you have to immediately go deal with that you couldn't foresee. Sometimes I put a lot of my personal things on hold. So it did take me a little bit longer, I think, to get that fully established. But now I'm like, no, I put my phone away. Like, this is my me time. You can't, it's like my sacred holy hour. You cannot bother me right now. I'm busy.
Have you ever experienced burnout?
I think probably a few times I have. And it was more so before I had this morning routine and I put myself first. For a long time, I never put myself first. It was always the business. It was always my friends, family, my husband, all the other obligations and things in my life that I had going on. It was always like, I can deal with me later. Like that's not a good place to be. Like, how can you expect yourself to succeed? They always say, put your mask on. If the plane's crashing down, put your mask on so you can put on the masks of others. It's not the other way around. You have to be okay so that everyone else can be okay. So in essence, I'm doing it for everyone else, but also for me, because I'm important.
Yes.
I think that's important for everybody to have that conversation with themselves and be open and honest and just say, hey, am I putting myself first in my life right now or not? And if you're not, you better check yourself and figure out what routine is going to make the most sense for you, whether you have 30 minutes to an hour in the morning to carve out for that or not, or maybe it's a midday thing, or maybe you do an evening routine, or whatever works for you. Just come up with your own systems and strategies for your life to make you the best that you can be, and then you'll become unstoppable.
Yeah.
I love it.
And you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. Right.
You can, there's so, the platforms now that we have, social media, the internet, there are other women out there that want to support other women in all of these ways that you just described. And that you don't have to come up with your own idea. There are people, like you said, you took what you want and left the rest of all these different people, people's ideas of morning routines, and you made something out of your own.
Right.
And
it works for me.
Yes. And I think that's like a beautiful thing, and how smart, right? And that, we don't have to do this alone. And, us women, we work hard, And I think just as women in general, we're caregivers. We just, there is something about us. Well, I guess I shouldn't say we, but for me too, I have had trouble also putting myself first until the past couple of years. And something starts to happen when you do that, even if it's tiny baby steps, 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. Sometimes you said it takes took you a couple months, and it just, having that little mustard seed being planted, something just starts to happen then, and you never know what's going to happen next. You might end up CEO of a company 9 years later,
Right?
you know?
Right.
You might end up traveling 2,000 miles across the United States, and you end up, in Colorado from Boston.
Yeah,
You just,
right.
Lisa coming from Texas, you just never know what's going to happen next. And it just takes that, I want to better myself today. Just that even,
Right.
and putting that out, it's so amazing. And I love hearing these stories.
Thank you.
For you have some extracurricular activities and hobbies that you enjoy, like golf. Is that right?
Well, I try. So not really yet.
Oh my gosh, I thought you were like
Well,
this
that's what-
profesh.
Oh no,
No?
no. My husband loves to golf. And I've actually dated some golfers in the past, and they all tried to get me to golf, and I refused. So I feel like I met my soulmate if he, can convince me to golf, right? I love being out on the course, and I'm always like I love to drive the cart, and I'm always like the social butterfly. I make the game, not for the guys, but for, the girls, the game fun and everything. And then I'm like, I should probably just learn how to play. It's great for networking, great for business. Yeah. It's a fun thing my husband and I get to do together. And just another thing to be outdoors in Colorado in the summertime. I'm all for it. So I've golfed a couple of times. I'm pretty terrible, if I'm being honest.
Oh my gosh, I don't know where I got the idea. I was like, oh, I think she's a professional golfer. Like,
I put it on there, but I think I wrote sort of on there.
Well, whatever, but still,
it's fun though. I'm having a good time, and that's the thing. Everyone that I've golfed with, they have such a good mindset about it, and they're super nice and helpful, and they kind of try to coach me here and there as I go through it. And we did Greg and I did a moonlight golf event one time, which was super fun. It was basically balls that lit up. They had like flashlights, glow sticks everywhere, and they had like the pins were lit up, and it was like obviously at night, so there's no lights on a golf course. So it was pitch black. It was such a crazy experience. That was one of the first times I ever golfed. So, you want to learn how to golf in the dark. But we had such a blast. We were blasting music. We met some cool people, and like I'm much more of like the social aspect of it. But this season, I do want to make a concerted effort to get lessons and practice more and be out on the course because it's fun.
Cool. Do you have any other hobbies that I didn't that you actually are more passionate about?
Health and fitness is a big thing for me. Not just, it's obviously physical and mental, but really anything outdoors, like camping, hiking, cycling, barbecuing, boating, really just anything. Growing up in Arizona, it was so hot in the summertime. We basically were just locked indoors the whole time. And yeah, there are other nice parts of the year where you can be outside, but it's just not the same. And coming to Colorado and experiencing seasons and actually being able to enjoy summertime, it's my favorite time of the year. So I love doing anything outdoors like that. Cycling is another big one. Indoor and outdoor cycling is really fun. So outdoor and physical type.
Do you have
things.
a Peloton or anything like that?
I have a Stages.
Oh.
So the Peloton, we were looking at one in the mall the other day, and we're big Zwift people. The app that syncs up that you can do indoor cycling with. And we asked the Peloton guy, does this link up with Zwift? And he's like, nope. We just have our own like classes that you can go in and join. And so we were like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, that's
I got my Stages bike. It's fine. I got the clip-in shoes.
Cool.
However, you can tell I'm not that much of an outdoor avid cyclist because I only use them indoors. They terrify me. Have you experienced real clip-in shoes?
I've never been on a proper cycling.
Have you seen what I'm talking about, though?
Yes,
Yep.
I have.
I always hear a story of when someone's using them for the first time and they come to a stop and they don't know how to unclip themselves properly and they just eat it.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm not about that.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't knowingly, like, I know I'm going to fall on my face.
It's just scary.
It is scary.
I'm fine on my like mountain bike. I'll go out and like, I'll go on the sidewalk. I won't actually go up on the mountain.
I was going to say mountain biking is tough, right? Because all the terrain changes and everything.
Yeah. And I have done it, but yeah, it's just fun to just go out on a bike and then hop on the trails with us being so lucky with all the trails and
and
not
Boulder
be
especially
clipped in. Oh my god.
Yeah, right.
You mentioned in one of your questions about, you entered this business world as a woman in a male-dominated field. And that's how you say, you specifically say you entered it this way. Do you feel like it's still that way? Like, do you still feel like that field is still predominantly male-dominated?
I would say the technical side of it is still very male-dominated. However, I'm pleasantly surprised with the transition that's been happening over the last, I would say, 5 years or so. Because when I moved to Colorado and joined this business, I was the only female. And it took a few years until we had female artists come through, but from a personnel standpoint, I was the only one. So you can imagine being in the studio world with a bunch of 20-year-old dudes. It was definitely a very like frat house kind of vibe going on for a little while there. Very, very different.
Did you find that you felt like you had to earn your respect more than you normally would have in a different circumstance, maybe?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. Thankfully, I was with Greg, and so he helped kind of trailblaze a little bit for me, and people had some respect for me because of that relationship. But there were instances still. I think 1, because I was young, 2, because I was a woman, and 3, because I didn't have a ton of experience. I had a little bit of studio experience from Arizona, but not working in one or building one from scratch. Right. So I had all that working against me. Thankfully, though, over the last few years, and I attribute this to us transitioning into a school, and there's just more awareness about this type of the type of jobs that you can get after graduation, that women are starting to take notice. And we actually have like 6 female students right now, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but that's actually more than we've ever had before. So
maybe we'll get you some more now.
Yeah. Okay. So email me, Cayla at KMGLife.com if you want to come to my school if you're a female. But yeah, it's incredible to witness that transition unfolds. And then I just go into the classes and I'll chat with them a little bit and get their perspectives. And they're just, honestly, they're geeking out like the guys are. And I love it. Like, I personally don't love audio in that way to want to learn all of the ins and outs of the technical side of it. I'm much more fascinated by business and the social aspect and creativity and building a business in that regard. But some of these gals, they want to be the one in session. They want to be the one on the boards. They want to be the one being the producer. And it just excites me being able to have a platform where now we're starting to saturate the industry with more strong women. I think it's incredible.
Awesome. And as a woman, I think to myself, when I find out a company or a business is run by a woman, I want to go there.
Yeah.
And so getting that word out that, KMG is being run by a woman right now, like, I don't know, that's exciting. And it's inspiring, for the women who are out there that, are perhaps, in year 2 of where you were,
right.
6 years ago. And to hear, that, like, us women, we can do anything. We can do anything that any man could do, And it's just, I don't know. I love supporting other women. And I love that you talked about you have 6 female students. That's a big deal.
It is.
It really is. And, women's suffrage really wasn't that long ago, and like we are at the front line of like changing history. And this is a big deal. You said you were the only female here in that industry. And like you are that woman at the front line in this industry. Right. And so that's really cool. And to have you sit in this chair and to talk about everything that you've been doing, it's really an honor. And this is just really awesome. And I think you're fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
You work your ass off and you don't stop.
Never.
And it takes a lot, it takes a lot to do that. That's just not for the faint of heart.
It is not. And I was not that person when I first moved to Colorado. Even then, honestly, it took years of hard work and perseverance and pushing through adversity to become as strong as I am today and to develop a love for business. Because I didn't have a whole lot of business experience before I moved to Colorado. I had, a college degree, some pretty good jobs, but I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I never had built a business before. And then moving here, it's just made me a completely different person that I'm so thankful for. I consider myself an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I'm a risk taker. 10 years ago, that would have been unfathomable to me. So it's been a really wild journey. I'm so thankful for all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. I've learned so much along the way. And I want to empower other people to know, like, even if you don't see something in your stars or in your trajectory right now, doesn't mean it's not possible for you. Like you said, you literally can do anything you want. You just have to start exposing yourself to different concepts, meeting the right people, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, trying new things, just never giving up, creating morning routines, setting yourself up for success. Like, it all comes together, and it's gonna take years. It's gonna take time. And there's no overnight success story. You know, they tell you that on, this person's an overnight success. Yeah, 11 years in the making, maybe, you know, but it's just being open to what's possible, and then being able to see that it's possible, and then believing that it's possible for you, I think, are the big main transitions that I made throughout my life to get to where I am today.
I can see you having your own something parallel to the final percent. I could see a Cayla empire.
Cayla empire. I like it.
You know, and like right next to maybe a little higher than Greg. You know, I can see it, girl. You are powerful.
Thank you.
You know, and your presence is like, I swear, every time someone's in that seat, the aura, something happens. I got to know, when did you have time to listen to over 100 audiobooks last year?
Oh my gosh. Yes. I did, in fact, do that. So I was never a big reader growing up. I was the person that's like, I don't have time, but I have time to hang out with my friends and, you know, have boyfriends and work and things like that. But I never made the time to read. Then Greg introduced me to the world of audiobooks because he's an auditory learner. I'm much more of a visual learner. So it's funny that I'm transitioned much more into auditory things these days. But audiobooks completely transformed my life. I have fallen in love with learning and reading like I never thought I would. I wish I would have started sooner. I think I started listening to audiobooks in 2016. I started tracking how many I read. And the first year I listened to 24.
That's a lot still.
More than I ever had read before, right? Then I bumped it up to, I think I heard the average CEO reads about 60 books a year. So I'm like, okay, my new goal is 60. And I hit that. I'm like, okay, I can do this. And then I set it for, I think, 80 the next year. And I remember it was like October of that year. And we were on an airplane going somewhere. And I was showing Greg, I was all excited. I'm on track to hit my goal by the end of this year to hit 80 audiobooks. And he's like, cool, takes my phone and changes it to 100. And I'm like, okay, it's October. You realize that, right? Like, I have to now read like 40 more books before I can hit this goal. And somehow I pulled it off. And then last year I did like 110 or something like that.
Wow.
So the thing I love about audiobooks is literally anytime you can multitask, listen to your audiobook or podcasts, learn, just always be learning. I just typically gravitate more to audiobooks. I'm getting more into podcasts now. But yeah, when I'm working out, when I'm cleaning, when I'm doing laundry, when I'm driving, when I'm getting ready in the morning, because I have a whole I'm kind of a girly girl, so I take a little bit of time to get ready. So I'm listening to my audiobook, and then I have my evening routine, and then getting ready for bed, listening to my audiobook. If I'm running errands, listening to an audiobook. Especially being a musician, it's kind of funny. I rarely listen to music in the car anymore. I'm just always trying to soak up as much knowledge as I can every second of the day. So. And it's also a mix of that and balancing like really long books with shorter ones. So it's not like all the books weren't 12 hours long. There were some that were like, 2 hours or something. It's a little easier to add up your numbers, but just dedication to that. And I just refuse to now go below 100. That's my new that's my new minimum. I'm like, nope. But I've been exposed to so many new concepts, and that's a huge part of my personal development and my growth is because I listened to so many books. And that's how I was able to develop my routines and my self-care and all of that, is picking and choosing elements from all of the books that I've read of those who talk about that and implementing it into my life with what works for me.
Yeah, I love that. One thing that has caught my eye, and I think that this is important to talk about, especially for other women out there, other business owners out there. And you said that you are, trying to start a family amidst everything you've got going on. And I'm a mom, and I know just from life that anytime you decide to have a kid or even just find out you're accidentally pregnant, however that happens for you, that it's a scary. And what I've learned that it's you can always find reasons that it's not the time. Right. There's always a reason not to do it. And so from talking to someone that seems like you're very on top of your game, you are a CEO, you've got shit going on. And that could be very scary to say, okay, now I'm going to implement this new chapter. Right. And how are you guys doing that? And what's your mindset behind that?
In retrospect, I wish we would have started a long time ago. We were kind of that couple that we were so business driven and so busy up to our ears that it like never was a thought of like, now's a good time. We'll wait till things slow down, right? Ha ha. Things never slow down. So we came to realize he's 34, I'm 33. We're not getting any younger. We're still well within a healthy window of having a family. But we're on the clock, I'd say. So we were like, all right, I feel like let's just start trying and see what happens. Like, it's never going to be the perfect time. We just have to make it the perfect time for us and figure it out.
And that's what the whole thing is exactly. You'll just figure it out. Yeah. That's how it is with kids. Like, you just figure it out, and it's never a right time. And you're never going to have enough money. And you're never going to have enough time. It's not going to be
all planned out. It's not going to go perfect.
It doesn't.
No,
it doesn't. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. And it's just like anything else, what you said in your life. As you figure it out and you figure out what works for you.
Right.
And for you can listen to a million audio books, and you'll pick and you can choose. And that's the same thing with parenting. You pick and you choose what advice you want to keep, what's going to work for you.
Right.
But I love that you put that in the questions that we ask, because I don't think like sometimes people don't talk about that enough of like, yes, I've got this career and I don't plan on changing who I am or what I'm doing, but I'm going to add this into that. You know what I mean? And so I loved that you included that.
Yeah. We're very open about it. We're so excited to start that journey whenever the time, is right, God willing, it'll happen. And we're just very open to it now at this point. We'll just kind of see what happens. And I have no idea how it's going to pan out or work out for us. I know that Greg and I have been through a lot of adverse situations together, not within our marriage, because we are very strong and we have a really good relationship. And that is one of the most rock solid things in my life. More of just running and operating a business together. There's a lot of things that you go through, as you both know, to where it's funny you said the figure it out. That is like probably the most recurring theme in our life is we didn't know how to start a school. Let's figure it out. We're passionate about this. Let's do it. Now we're state approved and regulated, and we have hundreds of students. Like, things are taking off. It's great. We're going to go online. There's all these things that are happening. We had no idea how to start a lot of that stuff in the beginning, but we figured it out. So, like you said, same with parenting. I don't really know what, life has in store for us in that sense, but we'll figure it out.
That's exciting.
And it is going to be exciting.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Mom and CEO. I don't know how I'm going to balance all that, but
you can do it. You bring those kids to that studio with you. That's how you do it.
That's
bring them along.
Someone even said that to me. They're like, "What are you going to do?" Like, I have it all planned out already. I'm like, I'm trying to create one first, one step at a time. Okay, I'm not even thinking that far ahead. But yes, thankfully, because we are business owners, I can just bring our babies with us to the office, and I have a bunch of babysitters who pass them around.
Right. It's just life. It's just like any other curveball you get thrown. You might be like, oh shit at first, but then you're like, okay, well, it's here, so let me figure out what to do next.
It can be messy, but it also can be very beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. I feel like it could be a book, Mom and CEO.
Right. Ooh,
there you go.
That's my homework.
All right, write that down.
That empire. I want that Cayla empire.
I love it.
See it.
I'm actually writing this down right now.
I think that'd be badass. I could see like a really cool website already. My mind starts going whenever there's
an idea.
And
then we'll have you come back on and you can talk about that.
Yeah, we'll do a recurring series, maybe like once every year or two or something. I'll come on and check in. What's new?
Well, this has been great, Cayla. Thank you so much for coming on, and a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Thank you
to learn more about you and just everything that's going on. And yes, we're so excited. If folks want to learn more about you or be able to follow you, where, or KMG, of course, where can they find you?
So our websites for our businesses, it's just kmglife.com, and KMG stands for Keep Music Going. So kmglife.com for the school and all recording. And then for the final percent, that's going to be just thefinalpercent.com. Pretty easy. My handle on social, if you would like to DM me or follow me or what have you, it's just Cayla_KMGLife. And that's Cayla with a C. I always have to specify.
Awesome. Right. And we'll put on that on our website too.
Cool.
Yes,
well,
all those links will be on the website. And that's a wrap.
Awesome.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Cayla.
Yeah.
If you have an interesting story, something funny, something sad, something you want the world to know, please email us. We want you to share your experiences with us. We'll take these, we'll collect them, we'll do some episodes sometimes where we'll read them. So if you want to be anonymous, please just let us know. We won't read your name. If you want your name read, then we will. But send us those stories, comments to info@herturntotalkpodcast.com. And we also ask, if you like what you're hearing, please rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you.